Alright, welcome back to Rage Forest 4. We got one of the quarterfinal games here between Team DauT and Team Valas. So both these guys over on this right side flank position, and it looks like the recording's not starting from the very first second for whatever reason. There must have been a disconnect and the players having to remake the lobby or some shit. I'm just assuming that. I mean, that's probably what the case is, but there might be another reason. This might be the Empire Wars start, but I hardly doubt it. Saying DauT when you've got a player named DauT in the game is really funny. I find it amusing. So we got DauT here, the Mongols in the orange, AR-12 in the purple on the Saracens. You got Miguel here playing pocket once again. He did a really good job of booming last game. He's on Bulgarians. Well, Uzi is now on Vietnamese. He's in the red trunks. So for Team Valas, we've got Argeddon. I do not know how to say that, guys. We've also got Mr. Planner in the green trunks and the Tartars. And Satoshi here on the Aztecs in the light blue. So, again, this is not a completely from the start replay as such. I'm not sure why, but I'm suspecting because there was a disconnect and they've had to, you know, restart the game from where it left off. And we're here on Black Forest, as the tournament's named Rage Forest, and strangely I thought that these games would go for like 50 minutes and just be boring as shit until our players go for 140 eco and nothing had happened, but I was pleasantly surprised with the first game of these that I covered, that even though there was a really quick Imperial tech transition from our teams, it sort of didn't last much longer than that. Basically, whoever gets the first jump here with breaking through the walls, taking out a couple of castles and starting to put pressure on opponents' military production buildings, that pretty much seems to dictate the game there and then, and the players know, so they'll just panic resign and try and play out the next game, or at least I hope, because there's nothing worse than having to sit through 45 minutes of sitting behind walls with minimal combat. I know AoE 2 lovers that only like AoE 2 and no other game in the series love it, but I think it's boring as fuck. So War Galley's coming in here, but he's got Fire Galley, whereas War Galley benefits the arrow ships, so bit strange. I think he'd want to actually get Fire Ship over Fire Galley, because then he could, you know... I'm wondering if that's a mistake. Oh no, it is... Oh, the tech must benefit both. How does that work? Let's have a look. Sorry guys, I'm a bit of a scrub in AoE 2, so... Gonna have to have a bit of a gander here. Galley, War Galley. Does it actually show you the actual text themselves? No, it doesn't. That'd be too intuitive. Too helpful for commentators and new players alike. So we don't have the technology. But it seems like War Galley actually benefits fire ships in terms of... Fire Galleys turns them into fire ships. As you can see, you get that extra damage and a little bit of health. Really important. I mean, they are the most quintessential combat stats. Health, damage, and armor. Couple of units here trying to cut through the walls there, but Valas just going to go bitch mode and just put a stone wall behind it. Deny his opponent forever. So we've got a couple of minutes for our players. Just reaching that endgame eco from the safety of a million walls and a million trees. But the beauty is as well, once you get Imperial, your Onagers can actually, and I fucking love saying that word, don't ask me why. Your Onagers can actually just cut through the tree lines themselves rather than having to use villagers to do it. And unlike AoE 4, you can't just chop down the tree, ignore the actual wood on the ground and then just start chopping the next row of trees. No, this is old school, the technology wasn't there yet. So the Onagers, unlike the Mangonels, which if you splash onto trees you don't do any damage to them, you can actually cut through the wood lines extremely quickly and give your team a real nice passage for cavalry archers or for your knights to sprint through, get on top of the enemy eco, and send them home. A couple of monks backing up this siege. I mean, if you convert over the wall, you could always... I mean, you can always just delete the villager or even just send them straight onto the enemy town centre to get blown up. But you can also use them to try and put forward towers or production or anything like that. One of the monks actually copying a bit of splash there from the mangonel. Market parted the wall off now. As for Valas, not in castle yet, so he wasn't able to just chuck down a castle in that segment. On top of that, I'm not too sure if he's actually got the stone for that at the moment. No, he's a little bit away off the stone, but the tower is going to offer something pretty similar. This nice ranged zoning pressure over the wall. Won't last forever, so Zatosi's coming to back things up here. But it's all quiet on the western front here, with our teams just one layer of stone and palisades, another one layer of palisade, 2 layers of stone, so the ultimate snooze fest here, same here. And they've even trapped the relic in, so they're going to have to delete a segment to grab that out. But it's unlikely that they'll be able to have the time to go around picking up all the relics like they would in 1v1, because, you know, there's 4 times the amount of brains and hands active in the game at the moment, as there is in a 1 versus 1. So you don't really get the time to do all the passive shit like relics and outposts around the corners of the map. And let's face it, there's no need to put outposts anywhere on this map because most of it's just covered in trees. You really only have to keep an eye on these passages and whichever ones are actually having units at them. I don't know, man, I'm a bit of an open map snob, to be honest. But in saying that, Team Black Forest seems to be a hell of a lot better than Black Forest 1 versus 1. And look, there's a conversion over the walls there. The Black Forest 1 versus 1 is like ultimate snooze fest AoE 2. This is actually pretty edge of your seat, man. Like, these guys are having to be careful of not picking off their own units with and their allies' units with these Splash Siege and the Mangonels. I do prefer their name that they get once they're an Imperial though, I'll just say that much. I didn't actually get time to introduce all the civs, and I don't want to start now because there's actually a bit of pressure being applied here, but Valas, I only just hitting Castle Age now, and everyone else has been castle for a little bit of time by now. So Miguel's probably actually able to just about go to Imperial at the moment. Yeah, he's not far off Imperial at all. In terms of the actual work accounts. Man, I'd love to use Capture Age, but the problem with Capture Age is it's just... I don't want to say shit, because I can appreciate the effort put into it. But it's really hard to work with, particularly if you stream more than just AoE 2. I'll just leave things there. Won't go any more into the rant about why Capture Age is a pain in the ass to use, unless you're literally being paid to do AoE 2 commentary, but it really is not that caster friendly, let me tell you. Regardless of what people that don't cast AoE 2 think, that's the truth of the matter. So DauT changing the angle of attack here, potentially. But just being a little bit careful. So he's deleted a couple of segments of wall, so he might be able to get through here instead and put some pressure on Zatosi, who did a really good job last game of playing this pocket position, because he more or less was able to help push through with Planner, and he and Planner actually basically sent DauT home, and the rest of the team followed. A lot of monks there just going at it. One of them already being converted off by Zatosi while he actually evacuates his monks. Not so concerned about having a villager converted, because by now our players all on multiple town centres. Zatosi I think is up to 3. And he's also got 4 dock water eco, so he's not sweating over losing a handful of villagers, as long as the wall off gets finished, because it just gives him the time to mass up some units and to let his teammates know they've also got to actually start contributing instead of just teching up here. Because there's nothing worse than when you're the player being put under pressure in a team game, particularly in AoE 2, and you look over and your teammates haven't actually boomed any harder than you have, but they're just being unhelpful fucks. Man, MBL must be crying himself to sleep at the moment watching monks convert one another. And there's a bit of friendly fire there. I think I saw one of the monks get killed by the mangonel. Actually, yeah, there is a bit of danger close here, guys. Come on. Be careful. Be aware of your teammates' shit. Stop sniping it. Got planner. Add castle here. Snow leopard walled in, because I mean, even though he's got access to monks and multiple villages to actually just kill it, why not just be safe? Rather be safe than sorry. Get distracted, and next thing you know, the snow leopard's taken out your whole army and half of your economy. Man, do AoE 2 players all have paranoia or something? So Valas finally starting to make some units here. He's been hiding away here in the corner, copping it, multiple layers of stone walls, and now he can actually transition to something that puts a bit of pressure of his own on. Miguel is well out in front in terms of overall score. Like, his eco is just phenomenal at the moment. 145 villages. Like, if you're going to be a pocket that sits back and does fuck all to help the team against early game aggression, at least be the sort of pocket that can out-eco everyone else in the game. Like Miguel's doing, he's done a great job of it. He actually did the same thing last game, but unfortunately his team wasn't really able to capitalize on their start, and so they all ended up tapping out not long after the push from Team Valas. So looks like Valas is going to struggle to get this castle built. In fact, all the villagers having to get the hell out of there because DauT's likely to just have these launched from every angle, take out all the villagers on top of the castle. So it's going to get taken out. There's a bit of damage taken there, but I don't think it was a direct hit on anything. Villager only just scratched her elbows. So Miguel giving everyone a handout, playing the government welfare service for the entire team at the moment. And on top of that, he's still actually being a real asset here. He's got halberdiers to ward off the cavalry, so his own and Uzi's siege. Nice and defended there. And this is what I mean with the onagers being able to chop through layers of walls. Well, regular mangonels can't, and villagers, it just takes forever and a day. It's not like AoE 4 where you can just click the next tree, bro, XD. But in saying that, I think just click the next tree, bro, XD actually is a good mechanic. It's just that, I don't know, the technology wasn't there yet back when AoE 2 was made. So Miguel not going to be able to get these workshops built, assist over this side at the same time. You can possibly try and chop through here. Snow Leopard's going to try and pick off one of these halberdiers. The rest of them just going to be able to pick it off. The onager gets converted, but not long before it's taken out. Snow Leopard's still being a real pest. Longbows here for Argeden, who this game, last game he was really struggling on score and, I don't know, just keeping up with eco and army, but this game he's actually now the dominator on his team, punishing the dominator from the other team. And he's in the flank position as well, so he's been able to really boom up quite safely, and now can be a vital asset to Team Valas. Because right now Valas is actually really quite struggling. He and Uzi are both struggling actually. Uzi's got plenty of space and a lot of town centers here, so I don't quite know why he's struggling so much for score. especially because it looked like who was that on his team that lost all those Mangan? Oh no, it would have been Miguel who would have lost all the halberdiers there. But Mr. Planner's found the gap, only to run into another couple of layers of palisades and the stone wall. Man, this map is weird. It goes from being edge of your seat to a snooze fest, back to being edge of your seat, back to a snooze fest. AR12 and Miguel are just giving DauT massive handouts at the moment, and he's committed to a lot of castles to get mass Mangudai here. He's going to need to build them out of that. Can't just get them out of the archery range. And Zastosi putting some nice pressure on here, but AR12 is possibly able to snipe a couple of these monks, force the rest of them to garrison. Unable to take out the trebuchet with what he's got there at the moment. DauT and AR12 just can't find the opportunity to engage this. They're going to have to soon, otherwise DauT, all of his stone is going to be for naught. Over on this left side, Argeddon is doing a great job of pushing with his longbow mass. Wonderful range on those. Takes a while for these battle elephants of Uzis to actually engage anything here, and they've also got some melee backup with the Keshiks of Mr. Planner. Miguel trying to send some ramps and some halberdiers in, but it's just complete chaos at the moment. And this really solid backline with the Briton pick. It's very difficult for Uzi and Miguel to keep pushing here, because even though the battle elephants can tank quite a few shots, the halberdiers can't. And then if the halberdiers get taken out, I think the Keshiks are a cost-effective unit to fight the battle alleys here. Back over to this right edge. DauT is just going for it. Alas, his castle being repaired through this by Zatosi, but it's just not quite enough. Let's run a couple of trebuchets over the back there for DauT as well. AR12 now with a huge ball of Hussar there as well. So all these Arbalesters are going to have to back off. Get the fuck out of there. This is Tosi taking out a lot of these structures here for DauT and AR12 at the moment. It's important because if they can free up this space, they can actually put castles and military production of their own over there. Well, and Lucy is still continuing to push over here on this other edge over on the left side of the map. So Argeddon having to back off and park himself in between the choke there. There's not really any mangonels or omegas here. Oh, Miguel's bringing some now. I was going to say, they're going to need that if they want to cost-effectively deal with this range pull, because there's no way to sneak enough military around that to actually pick them off. You need a couple of omega shots there and here to really force your opponent to have to split everything up in a hurry or lose 45 units from 2 barrages. Alas for Valas, he's not going to be able to finish up that castle there. Still has plenty of arms here back at home though. It's looking a bit scary for Team Valas. Team DauT is doing a great job pushing at both sides of the map. There's no real pressure through either central choke at the moment. Or is there? Zastosi's cut a gap through. And this is perfect for Team Valas because it's right where Uzi's looking to get his caravan line sorted. On top of that, there's no walls at either end of this choke. So there's free access to Miguel's base, to AR12's base. And so Planner's just going to go for it. He knows he's only got a little bit of time here before Valas is no more. So he needs to apply the pressure now. Help his teammates out. That's the pocket. Over on the left side though, Argeddon is pushing back out once again. 1 versus 2 for the moment, and seems to be doing okay at it. On this side we've got AR12, DauT and Miguel. DauT actually bringing everything back so he can try and cover for his teammates because he knows Planner's now inside the base with AR12. So he's going to need some quick mounted coverage, otherwise he's going to lose a lot of this. Plenty of his villagers being sniped at the moment. And that market line is also under huge pressure, but Uzi noticing that he's now got to wall off this segment. So things coming to a halt here for Planner. But he's got a lot of economic damage done, particularly to AR12 at the moment. He's still doing it over here as well. AR12's unaware that he really just needed to garrison this and he would have been able to clean up those Keshiks. There's not a lot of them, so it wouldn't take too long before the garrison vills could pick them off. There's Keshiks through Miguel's base here at the moment. Mostly just chasing traders, which probably not the most cost-effective way to use them because they are faster than the traders, I believe, but not that fast that they can just constantly attack them. Whereas the villagers, you know, they're not mounted, so it's very easy to snipe a whole handful of those with only a minimal number of cavalry. Valas seems to have stabilized over here though. Lost a lot of structures and stands to lose a couple more archery ranges. AR12's actually managed to convert one of them off him as well. We've got Zastosi backing up his teammate. He's been a very vital asset to this team with his strong pocket gameplay. And Planner is able to make use of this choke once again because Zastosi has cut another hole in it. The castle parked at the other end just in case a lot of these halberdiers then come streaming through to try and counter raid. Was he trying to push forward with his battle rallies? And I think they're a reasonable unit choice against such heavy castle coverage here by Argaden. Tosi even trying to repair his trebs through this while he focuses down DauT's trebs. Looks like Team Valas is now starting to gain more and more ground over on this right side of the map. DauT having to try and split up and micro those Mangudais a little bit, just so they're not copping the full brunt of the Onagers there. With that wall deletion by Valas, it just means Planner can actually get as many Keshiks involved as quickly as possible, which is what he really wants, fighting melee versus range here. Have to be a bit careful though, because as DauT kites backwards, the Keshik's going to be pulled into the range of the Onager's blast. There's still this little gap here, so that pair of Keshiks does get caught. Well, not paying as much attention to this as he could be. He's just trying to stream all of his halbs in to guard the market line itself, but he's ignoring the Onager actually on top of the other angle that Uzis are taking. Another big ball of Keshiks being sent on top of that market line. There's a lot of camels here. AR12, these should be able to cost effectively take this fight, clean things up. DauT getting more and more handouts. Miguel seems to be dumping all of his resources into DauT at the moment. Miguel trying to wall off as much of this as possible, just so he and Uzi can really protect the middle of the map, because they haven't really been taking any initiative themselves to try and cut an alternative path for that. They have a castle camped at one end and there's nothing at the opponent's end. So they're having to play that very smart with their defense. But is it smart enough to keep out Zastosi, or is he going to make his way through for a third time? Right now Zastosi and Valas pushing forward. They've got support from Planner as well. But over on this left side, Uzi's now really making ground with Miguel. Miguel having a lot of siege ramps, and the battle elephants too for Uzi. just going to be able to tank the castle fire a lot better than, say, you know, regular knights and light cavalry, or even infantry, well, especially infantry would be able to. Flaming camels here for planner, so interesting choice. I've never really seen these in action yet. There we go. That's cool how if you send them to actually attack things, they start burning up. So these things like camel banelings basically, that's cool as fuck. They don't seem to really finish the job. They do get a lot of targets really, really low though. This should be enough for this bowman ball to really pick this off, finish the job really quickly. So they went and they made banelings an AoE 2 unit by making camels have burning hay bales on their backs, which I think is actually pretty cool. So the Onagas of Miguel's being singled out and picked off there. There's a couple of siege rams over here, but they should be light work here for that many halberdiers to clean up. Valas actually using some warships and those galleons to try and assist here, especially useful against any melee here. There's not much they can do against them once they pull back from the edge of the shore. There's a lot of Mangadai, but these guys are quite gold expensive, whereas this halberdier skirmisher comp from Valas is obviously probably the easiest composition to afford in the game. A lot of those castles there of Argedans have now been taken out. It's freed up a lot of room here for Uzi, who's now starting to creep forward as much as he can with archery ranges. We're getting to the stage where this is really going to come down to whoever can get on top of the enemy team's market line now, because there won't be any gold left on the map other than maybe this gold here for Valas, which he hasn't really been able to get on top of all game. So it explains why he's had to commit to the trash composition so quickly here. Oh, there is still some somewhat neutral gold there. But again, it's sort of the danger zone right in the middle of the two teams. Nice shots from these Onagas, taking out a lot of those Mangadai. Just going to force DauT to back off a little bit. He's looking pretty healthy in terms of score at the moment though, but Uzi starting to struggle compared to everyone else here at the moment, I think, in terms of his overall score and his resource bank. But it's DauT that's actually got the smallest eco at the moment. So he may not be at the top of the scores for too long here if he gets too involved in these fights, especially with those Mangadai. He does have quite a number of traders, but this means that his overall villager economy must be tiny relative to everyone else. AR-12, nearly 170 eco population at the moment. Surely he doesn't need that much just to afford a couple of camels. Or maybe he does. He is sitting on a huge stone bank though. No one else has got anywhere near that amount of stone, so AR-12 really could go for a lot of castles or bombards, even quite aggressively here, should Team DauT actually break through the walls of Team Valas here at all. Lana probably struggling the most in terms of overall bank at the moment. Out of stone. A little bit more gold now. AR-12 still continuing to add eco population up to 171. I've never seen an economy that large in a 200 population game in any Age of Empires game. Still climbing 172. What are you doing, mate? It's pretty much just got siege, a handful of camels, and just villagers at this point. There we go. So he's starting to delete off some villages so he can actually make, well, actually have the population to have both an army and caravans. Deleting down to 161 now. Needs to get more houses though. So having all those houses be taken out by Zestosi and Planet that were taking those out. Especially because he's forward building a lot, because it helps deny the ability for your enemy team to place castles once they gain ground. At the same time, he's going to have to... There we go, he's replaced the houses that have been destroyed. He's actually going to field a bigger army now. More of an asset to his team. Over here on the left edge, once again we've got Planner and Armageddon streaming forward. Neither having the sort of score that DauT has at the moment, but Uzi is trailing everyone at the moment in terms of score. He's actually got one of the biggest economies now. The biggest economy now. AR-12 cutting even more eco at the moment. It's been a real slugfest with the two teams just trading on both of these flanks. It looks like there's no more efforts to cut through the wood anywhere else by our teams. And it's starting to lag a bit from the amount of units on the field at the moment. Forward castle here for Armageddon. So this will be really useful because all of these halberdiers in particular having to try and take the fight underneath enemy static defense, which is not what you want. It'll be very easy for them to get picked off. Once they go down, the Keshiks can really support the archers and prevent the battle elephants from being all that effective against something that should be a nice counter for. It's still, it hasn't been fully built, but it's built enough to deny an Onager from making its way around. And a friendly fire there, Armageddon. In fact, he pretty much finishes off those Keshiks of his teammates. So poor old Planner. And now, there's probably not quite enough battle elephants to actually pick off all these longbows at the moment. Half of them are actually stuck trying to take down the castle, which may not be the best of decisions here. It'll be a while before that's brought down. And now the longbows can clean up individual units around the castle there. Valas is now streaming forward everything he's got at the moment. Picked up by Planner and Zestosi at the moment, and DauT, as much as he's got a really healthy score margin at the moment, like all this team is starting to slip a little behind Team Valas at the moment. They are being pushed on both sides of the map. Nothing really happening in the center at the moment. Planner did try and make his way through here, but at the same time, Miguel's got it covered. Very cost-effective composition with those halberdiers in the mix. These rams can take an awful lot of shots from the longbows, but when you've got that many there, pretty much means that they're dead pop, because they're not going to be able to come past the longbows to actually take out the castle unless you've literally got 15 of them. And Miguel doesn't have 15 of them. Planner, that's a big number of Keshiks, so these guys are going to be able to find a way on top of the eco of Uzi here, possibly. In fact, there's enough Keshiks that Miguel's going to need more halberdiers than this to really dissuade any raiding. Well, we got pikemen here for Zestosi. Mustn't be able to have access to halberdiers with the Civ choice of his. Either that or he's just going slack. I don't need all upgrades, I can win anyway over these moves. Which is not something I'd recommend doing in a tournament game. You always want to try and press every single advantage you've got. Even more so than in a ranked game. as he takes some fights. Everything's looking a little bit jerky, a little bit stuttery here now. I'd have to restart the game after this one. I'll just stop running so much shit in the background. Close my 50 tabs of Pornhub. Plano and Argaden are doing great over on this left flank. Over on the right flank, there's enough being done just to really tie up DauT and AR12 from potentially supporting the left flank at all here. And DauT, all his base is nice and safe tucked away, but right now Team Valas is on top of Uzi and his starting base here. Trent's actually being used to take out the harbours here. So these will actually act as a tower, and on top of that they give access to the cannon galleons and to the regular galleons. So cannon galleons will be able to try and work away at these castles. Regular galleons going to be nice supporting units to hit all these Mangudai. A bit like having scorpions on the water. So great unit to have in the face of these heavy, expensive ranged units. We've got some bombards here from Valas, just making sure nothing can stream too far forward here. So these will basically one-shot pretty much any unit in the game gets one-shot by a bombard, except for like elephant units. So never a bad thing to have, except in deathmatch where bombard towers are banned because they're for noobs XD. Nice mangonel there, hitting a couple of those Mangudai, but we've got a bit of danger close here. A few of those halberdiers and pikemen being picked off by the teammates. Onigers there. Other harbour, not long for this world. On the left side once again, Uzi is really starting to struggle. Now down by 4k score to the next player and nearly 6k to the next teammate. So Argaden top of the pops at the moment, although DauT also really nice score margin for him. So have to be very careful considering there's a lot of siege here. He doesn't want to be eating that. Mangudai. Well, his own siege has largely been taken out. Oh, now we've got a Keshik raid by Mr. Planner. And if you can get a couple of caravans from each player here, you can really set back Team DauT. In fact, it looks like with the more of these caravans that you get, the more they bump into each other, and so the slower they travel, the easier it is for the Keshiks to actually thin out their numbers. So the more overall damage is being done. The Planner, with his harass of the market line, this could really be quite drastic for Team DauT. Because again, the only gold left on the map is pretty much around Valas's base. In fact, he's able to pretty much man mode and ignore all this. He's already got a healthy trading economy of his own. There's no reason to pull villagers off his gold, off his wood or his food to then gather a little bit more gold. I do like the fact that our players are actually replacing their lumber camps to keep gathering that wood a little bit more efficiently. Not something you see happen in AoE 2 as much as you would in AoE 0 or AoE 4. Obviously, because the drop-off buildings are twice as expensive and the gather rate is slightly lower, so it's a much less cost-effective decision to make. But even still, Sestosi in particular has really been able to do it. And if Sestosi can do it, why can't you do it? And AR12 still giving DauT handouts. Handouts, ha 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 ha. You get it? Ha 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 ha. XD. Argaden eager to try and catch DauT up and score, and send Uzi to the bottom of the, I was going to say seas, but it's a land match, so he can't be doing that. The bottom of the snowfields, I guess. Get some flaming camels here in the mix. These look really cool. That was a bit of a waste. 3 flaming camels. They're not that cheap, I don't think. 3 of them taking out a single farm is probably not the most cost-effective trade to have with them. Imagine he's wanting to try and have them get in front of this and just splash some damage across 5 or 6 of those elephants. That's a nice mangonel shot once again from Sestosi. DauT have to be very careful here. Eventually he's going to run out of gold facing a composition like this with the composition that he has. Alas, constantly placing and replacing docks here. Adding bombards as well, because it means that DauT's got to commit to having constant trebuchet and constant cannon production. Anytime he comes forward with these Mangudai, he's got to then back off, because a single bombard will take out Mangudai every couple of seconds. Looks like the Keshiks have all been cleaned up now by Miguel, but I think Plan might have got enough damage done and distracted the enemy team enough that they can now keep pushing into Uzi and take him out of the game once and for all. There's only this thin red line now keeping all of his farm eco protected here. DauT able to come forward now that he's taken out a few more of the bombards. There are a couple of harbours here still, but they're a little out of the way and they're not quite as lethal, particularly against, you know, cavalry and mounted ranged units as, say, the bombard towers. Landing their shots there, and a few Mangudai falling. As well, still propping up his team on economy. I think Miguel's probably been doing the same where he can. We've got all these forward-built military buildings here for Team Valas. Making it consistently easier and easier to keep reinforcing here. And Uzi's just having to try and house wall his whole farmland in here. Another fort castle here from Argeden, so if you can get this up, puts all this under immense pressure. Really restricts Uzi to having to try and build back here, although there's not really any space, or there's not any space up here. In fact, those resources are locked off from Team DauT at the moment. They didn't take the time to try and cut through that at all. Well, gonna want to take an engagement here. He can't just keep tanking damage from these longbows forever. DauT slowly losing ground here. He's still supported by AR-12, but at the moment he's just pumping out Hussar, which, as much as he might be trying to contribute however he can, I don't know if they're going to be enough to prevent this onslaught here, because Sestosi has just got 1,000,001 Onagers here, and there's plenty of Arbalestas and even some Halberdiers back there. So there's a nice couple of shots there from AR-12. He's been able to clean up a lot of those mangonels already. Done really well with that, but now his mangonels are out. And we've got a lot of bombards here for Valas. Warship production once again for Valas, so he can actually make the cannon galleons. Put these castles under a lot of pressure. GG, Team DauT having to tap out once again. So Team Valas is up 2-0 in the series.